Welcome to Friday, TGIF. It's August 4th, 2023, your day with the podcast, brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com. Well, the monsoon, the deep moisture, the continuous rain daily that has happened in many areas, and very heavy rain, is shifting more north. We saw a shift northward yesterday. So areas in the south, you're going to dry out a little bit. North areas, get ready for more significant rain chances and possible flash flooding and some flooding concerns. But dry areas going into the desert states and lifting slowly northward. So there will be less, I don't want to say no thunderstorms, but less thunderstorm activity across parts of Colorado and southern Wyoming. But deep moisture, central northern Wyoming, Montana, the Dakotas, Nebraska, you've got more heavy rain threat coming. It is going to be quite cool along and east of the Continental Divide starting today and lasting into early next week, well below average temperatures as high pressure that's now in Texas and Oklahoma moves west and cooler air comes in out of western Canada. And we've got some interesting weather in the long term to show you. We talked about sort of this cooling trend that's coming, and as we take a look out further, we're seeing some things out in the Pacific Ocean, things that should make the second half or the middle part of August bring us some interesting weather for this time of year. Another great photo of a shelf cloud, this time in the Fall River County Fair area of South Dakota. Of course, the county fairs are going on all across the region, and you know what? Thunderstorms love county fairs, and I know there's many of you that have experienced a thunderstorm, at least one, at your county fair this week. And unfortunately, that's going to again be the case in many of the county fairs across the central and northern Rockies and central and northern high plains today. Just some fabulous photos coming in. This is between Laramie and Fort Collins. The storm ended up causing a very intense cloud burst. Very difficult to even drive through these heavy downpours. And we've got other photos coming of these very intense rain shafts. Keep in mind, the air that's been over the region over the last few days has made a long trek from Central America and Mexico. The air is literally subtropical. That's why the water content is so high. That's why the raindrops are so big. And that's why the precipitation rates can be so intense. Great shot here from Ty up in Timnath. Again, you can see these rain shafts and you can see these thunderstorms billowing up, going straight up vertically, growing fast, going through their life cycle rather quickly. And when that happens, they dump a lot of rain in a small area over a short period of time. We talked about how the monsoon was shifting north. Here it is up near the west central areas in Fremont County, Wyoming, near Morton Lake. You can see that heavy rain shaft there. In Fremont County, another very heavy rain shaft there developing in the Wind River Mountains. And then this was taken on the 2nd, so this was a couple of days ago, but a classic land spout. Yep, they'll happen over the mountainous terrain as well. Thanks, Zach, for sending this photo in. Great shot there. Classic land spout. You can see it's long, it's skinny. It's not going to really turn into anything too bad, but we've had a lot of those in this region this summer season. Of course, afterwards, we're getting some fabulous rainbow shots coming in across the region. There's one. Beautiful framing there. Thanks to everybody for sending in your photos. Everybody enjoys seeing them. And boy, there's been a lot to take photos of here lately. And that means, yep, after the storms are all done, we're getting some very, very pretty sunsets as well. The dark green areas show where there is a flood watch in effect today. So you can see that green area is expanding northward. The light green is basically an area where isolated flash flooding risk is going to be high today. You can see that slow northward shift of the monsoon axis right here. And then that drier air, the orange, red colors, is getting a little bit further north. So for the desert southwest, the western slope of Colorado, Utah, this is not to say there won't be isolated thunderstorms. There will be. But the drier air will really start to limit the coverage and the intensity of these thunderstorms a little bit further north today. You can see that right here this morning. That axis has shifted more to the north. Overnight thunderstorm activity, very heavy from the Dakotas through Nebraska, eastern Colorado, Heavy rain in the north central Kansas this morning. This is where we're going to be at noon today. Two high centers really forming. We've got the high that's been here all week, but we're starting to see it get elongated. And we're going to see this high, this guy, become more centered over Arizona by the weekend. And here's the weather up north, pushing south into the region. And that's what's going to be pushing the cooler weather our way. There's the axis of deep moisture shifting north. This is where the risk of severe weather is going to be today. We've got that severe weather risk again in Nebraska, eastern Colorado, and northwest Kansas, as that drier air mixing in with the monsoon can be a recipe for some thunderstorms getting a little bit more intense. But you can see the light green gets all the way back to the eastern side of the Cascades across Oregon, up into northern California even, and into the Great Basin, as that drift northward is also drifting a little bit northwestward as well. And then that deeper moisture in the central United States will make for a very active weekend. So this is today, this is tomorrow, and this is for Sunday. So you can see, even though the monsoon deep moisture is moving east, there's still this area where enough moisture is left behind. And when you have so much soil moisture that's being left behind by these showers and storms, that goes back into the air through evaporation and can help generate pop-up showers and thunderstorms. So there's the axis of deep moisture on Saturday. By Sunday, it starts to break up a bit. We're starting to see basically this process work its way out. Very dry air punching into the Four Corners area. This is through Monday morning, 9 a.m. So those same areas along Interstate 90 in Wyoming, Montana, and South Dakota, but also getting up into North Dakota, that's where the heavier moisture will be. But notice along and east of the divide, we still have precipitation chances with those showers and thunderstorms. This will be because cool, upslope, moist conditions, easterly flow along and east of the divide, develops this weekend with that cooler air. So this is the 5-day temperature anomaly from today through Tuesday. So today through Tuesday, those blue and green areas will be cooler than average. In some areas, quite a bit cooler than average. Now, as we go forward in time, this is what I wanted to show you, the changes that are coming. This is by Monday. The high is getting kind of suppressed and bottled up here. It'll be really hot here across the south, but really north of this line, the rest of the nation is actually going to be a little bit colder than average. As this high gets suppressed south, look at this right here. This is going to be more and more of a factor. For those of you who watched the podcast for a while, the Eastern Pacific, especially as you start to change seasons, is really, really important to watch. What is going to be developing is in the Eastern Pacific, in about 7 to 10 days from now, is going to build up a big area of high pressure. This is the latest sea surface temperature anomaly. There's the developing El Nino right here, strongest in the eastern areas. But look at the sea surface temperature anomaly up here in the North Pacific. We tend to watch this in the cold season very carefully. Now, the way the colors look here, you would not want to jump into this water, okay? This water is still relative to putting your toe in it is going to feel very, very cold. But the temperatures compared to the 30-year average are 1 to over 2.5 degrees above the 30-year average. And when you have that area where the air over the water, because of the elevated sea surface temperature, that tends to help form high pressure ridges over a large scale at times, especially as you get into the fall and winter season. Now, I know we're still in summer, but look at this. This high pressure ridge building, basically and partly in response, not completely, but partly in response to those warmer waters in the North Pacific. When you get a ridge here, you open the door to cooler weather here. And you see the bookends of the high here and the high here. This is likely going to lead to an uptick, and we'll probably start to hear about tropical activity here in the coming weeks because this is a pattern more favorable for that. But if you get a high building in the East Pacific and along the West Coast, the jet stream is going to want to take a dip. And what that does is that opens the door to cooler air for the central areas of the United States, and this is by next weekend. So this ridge, this sea surface temperature anomaly and this building ridge in the Eastern Pacific is something that you like to usually see late August, early September, so maybe a couple of weeks ahead of schedule. Have yourself a good weekend. We'll see you Monday.